Is Donald Trump finally ready to back down in his war with Iran, or is he only buying time as he plans his next move? The US president announces he has postponed his planned strikes on Iranian power infrastructure for 5 days as very good and productive talks with Iran are underway. Tehran denies any such talks are on, mocks Trump, saying he's backing down fearing reprisals, and his threat was just a bluff. Drawing a parallel between the COVID-19 pandemic and the current war in the Middle East, Prime Minister Narendra Modi says black marketers and hoarders try to take advantage of such crises, and all political parties and governments in India must stay united. Cracks seem to have appeared in US military ranks as some troops oppose the Iran war, saying they don't want to die for Israel, say American media reports. Kashmir rises in solidarity with the people of Iran. Locals donate gold, cash, even livestock for the war-hit country. Iran says the humanitarian gesture will never be forgotten. Israeli settlers unleash massive violence on Palestinian villages in occupied West Bank. Over 20 villages witness violence with homes and vehicles torched. Eyewitnesses call it a pogrom. Former Pakistani envoy to India, Abdul Basit, makes a shocking and highly provocative remark. Says if the United States strikes Pakistan, Islamabad should not think twice before launching strikes on Delhi and Mumbai. Horror at LaGuardia Airport in New York as an Air Canada Express jet slams into a fire truck on landing, killing both the pilot and the co-pilot and injuring many others. Two India-bound LPG tankers pushed through the Strait of Hormuz amid war tensions, easing supply fears to some extent. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. Is Donald Trump finally ready to back down in his war with Iran, or is he only buying time as he plans his next move in an increasingly complex conflict? In a major development today, the US president indicated that the US and Iran have begun what he described as very good and productive conversations aimed at a full resolution of the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Trump said he had ordered the postponement of any planned strikes on Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days to allow the talks to continue. The move marks the first public hint of possible de-escalation since the war entered its 4th week. However, responding to Trump's latest post, Iranian state media said mockingly that the US president backed down fearing Iran's reprisal and that his threat to strike Iranian power infrastructure was in fact nothing more than a bluff. In a statement released on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump wrote, and I quote, "I'm pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of Defense to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. There is an important caveat. The pause is temporary and entirely dependent on progress in the negotiations, as Trump put it. However, Iran's foreign ministry has denied Trump's claims, saying there are no talks with Washington that are currently underway. In fact, they have accused Trump of buying time while regional de-escalation efforts go on. The announcement by Trump came only hours after Iran had issued fresh threats in response to an earlier ultimatum from the US. Iranian officials had warned that they would lay drifting naval mines across the Persian Gulf and strike power stations across the Middle East if their territory came under further attack. They released maps highlighting potential targets, including Israel's 2 largest electricity plants and facilities in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar and Kuwait. One accompanying graphic carried the stark headline, "Say goodbye to electricity." These threats followed a midnight deadline set by Trump for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face the obliteration of its power infrastructure. Tehran gave no sign of compliance. Instead, it has already restricted tanker traffic through the narrow waterway, a choke point for roughly 1/5 of global oil shipments, and launched retaliatory strikes on energy sites and U.S. diplomatic missions across the Gulf, as well as targets inside Israel. The question is Trump finally ready for a de-escalation? And is Iran in any mood to reciprocate? Drawing a parallel between the COVID-19 pandemic and the current geopolitical situation because of the war in the Middle East, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said elements such as black marketers and hoarders try to take advantage of such crises. He urged all political parties and governments in India to stay united at this time. The Prime Minister was addressing the Lok Sabha on the West Asia conflict and the challenges that it has created for India. Advising state governments to stay alert, he said, elements such as hoarders become active during such crises, and strict monitoring and swift action are required to tackle this menace. The Prime Minister made another COVID-19 mention while speaking about food security. He said, a big question is how will the war impact our farming? The country's farmers have filled our granaries, so we have adequate food supplies. It's also our attempt to ensure a smooth harvest in the Kharif season. In the past too, our government did not let global problems burden our farmers, he said. The government, the Prime Minister said, is empathetic, alert and ready to extend every possible help to its citizens. It's also focused on minimizing hardships. The Prime Minister added that every Indian stuck in the war-affected region is being given all possible help. He said over 3 lakh Indian nationals living and working in the Gulf region have already returned to India.
युद्ध शुरू होने के बाद से लेकर अब तक 3,75,000 से अधिक भारतीय सुरक्षित भारत लौट चुके हैं। ईरान से ही अभी तक लगभग 1,000 भारतीय सुरक्षित वापस लौटे हैं। इनमें 700 से अधिक मेडिकल की पढ़ाई करने वाले युवा हैं। खाड़ी देशों में भारतीय स्कूलों में हजारों विद्यार्थी पढ़ते हैं। सीबीएसई ने ऐसे सभी भारतीय स्कूलों में होने वाली कक्षा 10वीं और 12वीं की निर्धारित परीक्षाओं को रद्द कर दिया है। इन बच्चों की पढ़ाई निर्बाध चलती रहे, इसके लिए सीबीएसई उचित कदम उठा रही है। यानी सरकार संवेदनशील भी है, सतर्क भी है और हर सहायता के लिए तत्पर भी है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, भारत में बड़ी मात्रा में कच्चा तेल, गैस और फर्टिलाइजर जैसी अनेक जरूरी चीजें हॉर्मुज स्ट्रेट के रास्ते से आती हैं। युद्ध के बाद से ही हॉर्मुज स्ट्रेट में जहाजों का आना जाना बहुत चुनौतीपूर्ण हो गया है। बावजूद इसके हमारी सरकार का ये प्रयास रहा है कि पेट्रोल, डीजल और गैस की सप्लाई बहुत ज्यादा प्रभावित न हो, देश के सामान्य परिवारों को परेशानी भी कम से कम हो, इस पर हमारा फोकस रहा है। हम सभी जानते हैं, देश अपनी जरूरत की 60% एलपीजी आयात करता है। इसकी सप्लाई में अनिश्चितता के कारण सरकार ने एलपीजी के डोमेस्टिक उपयोग को प्राथमिकता दी है। साथ ही एलपीजी के देश में ही उत्पादन को भी बढ़ाया जा रहा है। पेट्रोल, डीजल की सप्लाई पूरे देश में सुचारू रूप से होती रहे, इस पर भी लगातार काम किया गया है। अध्यक्ष जी, आज की इन परिस्थितियों में एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी को लेकर बीते 1 दशक में उठाए गए कदम और भी प्रासंगिक हो गए हैं। भारत ने बीते 11 वर्षों में अपनी एनर्जी इंपोर्ट का डाइवर्सिफिकेशन किया है। पहले क्रूड ऑयल, एलएनजी, एलपीजी ऐसी एनर्जी जरूरतों के लिए 27 देशों से इंपोर्ट किया जाता था। वहीं आज भारत 41 देशों से एनर्जी इंपोर्ट करता है।
In a striking revelation, reports have emerged suggesting deep cracks within the ranks of the US military as the conflict with Iran intensifies. Behind the official rhetoric of strength and resolve, some American service members have reportedly voiced frustration, anxiety, and even outright resistance to the mission, saying they do not want to die for Israel or be reduced to mere political pawns in a high-stakes geopolitical battle. Interviews with personnel, reservists and advocacy groups that have been reported in the US media paint a picture of growing unease, where the emotional toll of the war is beginning to weigh heavily on those expected to fight it. As the conflict escalates, the sense of vulnerability and disillusionment has only deepened. Reports say soldiers and reservists have been grappling with severe stress and lack of clarity over the true objectives of the war, with many questioning the narrative driving the campaign. The absence of a consistent and convincing justification for military action against Iran has reportedly emerged as a major source of demoralization, shaking confidence within the US military ranks. Some have even begun contemplating leaving the military altogether, signaling a dangerous erosion of morale. That's what these reports seem to suggest. This internal turmoil comes even as the war itself has been expanding in scale and intensity, with the Pentagon reportedly preparing detailed plans for a potential ground deployment in Iran, a move that could dramatically escalate the conflict. In a powerful display of humanity rising above borders and conflict, residents of Kashmir came together in an extraordinary humanitarian drive to support those impacted by the devastating war in Iran. In districts like Budgam and Baramulla, Shia-dominated communities mobilized swiftly after Eid ul-Fitr as volunteers went door to door collecting aid. What followed was nothing short of remarkable. People donated not just money but deeply personal possessions, including gold and silver jewelry, livestock and cherished traditional copper items, reflecting an emotional connection that transcends geography. The Iranian embassy in India acknowledged this show of support, sharing visuals and expressing heartfelt gratitude for what it described as an unforgettable act of kindness and solidarity. The most poignant moment came when women decided to part with their personal jewelry, including a Kashmiri widow who donated a gold memento preserved for nearly 3 decades in memory of her late husband. Children too joined the effort, offering their savings and Eid money, while local leaders like Budgam MLA Muntazir Mehdi pledged a month's salary.
In a heartwarming show of solidarity, people in Kashmir came together to raise donations for war-hit Iran, collecting gold, cash and even copper utensils just a day after Eid celebrations. Volunteers reportedly went door to door, with men, women and even children contributing whatever they could to support those affected by the conflict. The humanitarian gesture drew a warm response from the Iranian embassy in India, which expressed deep gratitude, saying the kindness and support shown by Kashmiris would never be forgotten. Youth in Shia-dominated areas of Kashmir's valley went door to door on Sunday, collecting donations for those affected by the ongoing West Asia conflict in Iran. Residents contributed generously, with men, women and even children taking part in the drive. Locals described the situation in Iran as devastating, calling for humanitarian support for those suffering amid the conflict. One resident said, "The least the world can do is extend aid to affected civilians." The initiative reflects a wider community effort as people from all walks of life came together to support victims of the crisis through grassroots mobilization. In a deeply emotional moment, the Iranian embassy in India shared a video highlighting the extraordinary sacrifice of a Kashmiri woman who donated gold preserved for 28 years as a memory of her late husband. The embassy described her gesture as one made with a heart full of love and solidarity for the people of Iran, struck by the ongoing conflict. The woman, visibly emotional, parted with her cherished possession to support those suffering, turning a personal memory into a humanitarian offering. The act has struck a chord across social media, symbolizing the depth of compassion and solidarity emerging from the valley during the crisis. Another touching moment from the valley showed a young girl stepping forward to donate her piggy bank, saying she had been saving the money for 3 years. Her gesture, captured on video, has resonated widely as a symbol of compassion and innocence amid the crisis. The donation drive, largely carried out in districts like Budgam and Baramulla, where the Shia community has a significant presence, has seen people of all ages contributing generously. From small savings to precious belongings, the collective effort reflects a powerful sense of solidarity with those affected by the conflict in Iran.
डोनेशन हम देते हैं ईरान के लिए, इसमें सबसे बड़ा हमें इस्लाम का उनके साथ रिश्ता है। ये नहीं देखते कि हम शिया या सुन्नी हैं, वो मोमिन है, उन्होंने हमारे लिए कुछ किया, हमें उनके लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं। ये कुरान की आयत है, आप एक दूसरे के लिए काम करो, क्योंकि मोमिन का काम ही होता है एक दूसरे के लिए बनाया खुदा ने। कुरान मजीद में हर वक्त खुदा ने आयत नाजिल किया और उसमें ये बयान भी किया, जो मोमिन है वो एक दूसरे के लिए हमेशा डट खड़ा रहे। मगर उसमें जो सबसे पहले वो ईरान है, बाकी जो हम इधर डोनेशन करेंगे उनके लिए ये क्या है, थोड़ा बहुत है, उससे कुछ नहीं, मगर एक हमदर्दी का इजहार होता है कि हमने कुछ उनके लिए किया है, क्योंकि कल हमें रोज़ महशर में पूछेगा खुदा आपने उनके लिए क्या किया।
Expressing deep appreciation, the Iranian embassy thanked the people of Kashmir for their humanitarian support, saying their solidarity with those affected in Iran would never be forgotten. In a post on X, the embassy highlighted the compassion shown by residents who came forward with donations during a difficult time. Officials said the collected contributions will be routed through official relief channels, including the Iranian embassy, to ensure they reach those in need. The coordinated effort underscores both the scale of the support and the intent to deliver aid effectively to those impacted by the ongoing conflict.
A wave of violence has torn through the occupied West Bank in recent days, with extremist Jewish settlers unleashing a series of coordinated attacks on Palestinian villages, setting homes, vehicles and agricultural fields on fire. Many have described these acts as sheer terror. The unrest erupted following the death of 18-year-old settler Yehuda Sherman, who was reportedly killed after being struck by a vehicle while riding a quad bike. But even before the facts of the case could emerge, calls for revenge had spread rapidly through settler WhatsApp groups, igniting what quickly spiraled into a retaliatory rampage. Over 20 attacks were reported in a single night, with several villages bearing the brunt of the fury as masked groups stormed in, torching property and leaving behind scenes of devastation. As the violence unfolded, chilling visuals and accounts began to emerge. Vehicles engulfed in flames, shattered homes and graffiti reading "Avenge Yehuda" scrawled across buildings, turning entire neighborhoods into symbols of fear and retribution. Eyewitness footage shows large groups of masked individuals moving in coordinated fashion as emergency sirens pierced the night. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported multiple injuries while authorities struggled to contain the chaos. Israeli forces were eventually deployed and a handful of arrests were made, but critics say the response came too late. Civil rights group Yesh Din called it a night of pogroms, accusing Israeli authorities of failing to act despite prior warnings of planned attacks. The surge in settler violence has coincided with the regional war involving Iran, amplifying fears that conflict beyond the borders is now fueling unrest within. With road blockades, fresh gatherings of settler groups and reports of continued arson, the region appears to be teetering on the edge. Attacking Indian cities such as New Delhi and Mumbai should be Pakistan's default move if the country comes under attack from the United States. That shocking statement has been made by former Pakistani High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit. The former diplomat's provocative remarks were made in response to a question on US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's recent statement flagging Pakistan's long-range ballistic missile program. Basit said Gabbard's anti-Pakistan worldview always comes to the fore. He said, and I quote, "She's Indian origin after all. Pakistan's deterrence is India-specific. Tulsi Gabbard saw our missiles, but not India's Agni 5 and Agni 6. They are intercontinental missiles. We don't have that kind of range. I pray this increases. We should at least be able to target Israel," he said. Abdul Basit was responding to Gabbard's remarks, where she had said that Pakistan's long-range ballistic missile program could develop into a threat to the United States. She said Pakistan's efforts potentially could include ICBMs with a range capable of striking the US homeland. Presenting the 2026 annual threat assessment to the House Intelligence Committee, she said Pakistan is among countries researching and developing an array of novel, advanced or traditional missile delivery systems with nuclear and conventional payloads that put our homeland within range. Basit went on to say, if push comes to shove, suppose the situation in Iran deteriorates and Israel has its eyes on us, circumstances develop in which the US has its eyes on our nuclear program and tries to destroy it. This is impossible, but just as the worst-case scenario, let's say the US attacks Pakistan. Even if the US is not in our nuclear range, what do you think is our option? If anyone casts an evil eye on us, we must not think twice and attack Mumbai and New Delhi. We will see what happens later. That's what Abdul Basit said. The anchor added, "We have shown a trailer earlier." Basit responded, "We've done it earlier, we will do it again from here."
Former Pakistan High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit, has sparked controversy with a startling remark suggesting that Pakistan could target India in the event of a foreign attack. Speaking during a discussion on a hypothetical conflict, Basit said that if the United States were to attack Pakistan, it would respond by striking cities like Mumbai and New Delhi without a second thought. Though he described the scenario as unlikely, the direct reference to targeting major Indian cities has raised serious concerns. Basit added that while neither India nor Pakistan wants such an escalation, any hostile move against Pakistan would leave it with no other option, intensifying worries amid already high regional tensions. The comment, though framed as a worst-case scenario, quickly drew attention for its explicit reference to targeting major Indian cities. Abdul Basit repeatedly described the situation as unlikely, even calling it out of the impossibility, yet returned to the same line of argument, saying that if Pakistan is viewed with hostility, it would have no option but to strike India wherever it chooses. While he maintained that neither side wants such an escalation, the mention of Mumbai and New Delhi has triggered widespread debate over the implications of such rhetoric. Basit's remarks carry added significance given his tenure as Pakistan's High Commissioner to India from 2014 to 2017, a period marked by strained bilateral ties. The remarks come amid already strained regional dynamics, with Pakistan facing rising tensions on multiple fronts, including with Afghanistan. Afghan authorities have accused Pakistani forces of carrying out airstrikes in areas such as Kabul, Kandahar and Paktika. Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid claimed that civilian sites, including a rehabilitation facility, were targeted in the strikes. While Pakistan has not officially confirmed these allegations, the developments have added to concerns over escalating instability in the region, further intensifying the backdrop against which such provocative statements are being made. Reports have indicated significant casualties and damage following the alleged strikes, though independent verification remains limited. What began as a speculative worst-case scenario has now fed into a wider debate on regional security and the kind of rhetoric used by former officials. Observers say such statements, even when hypothetical, can carry serious implications in an already volatile environment, shaping perceptions and potentially escalating tensions. The episode has once again highlighted how sensitive the region remains, where words from experienced diplomats can quickly influence the broader strategic narrative. At a time when geopolitical tensions remain elevated, even hypothetical remarks like these have drawn sharp attention for their potential impact on regional stability. While framed as a speculative scenario, the comments have quickly gained traction, underlining the sensitivity of the current security environment. There has been no official response from Indian authorities so far, but the statement has already sparked widespread discussion across platforms, with analysts and observers weighing in on the implications of such rhetoric at a delicate moment in South Asian geopolitics. In a striking display of contradiction, Pakistan is facing allegations of carrying out a deadly airstrike in Kabul that reportedly killed over 400 people in a Pakistan Air Force strike on a drug rehabilitation center in Kabul, the deadliest incident since tensions between the two neighbors escalated last year. While Pakistan has strongly rejected the claims as false and misleading, insisting that its forces targeted only military installations and terrorist infrastructure, the reported scale of casualties has intensified scrutiny. The episode underscores the deepening volatility in the region, where competing narratives and rising hostilities continue to fuel uncertainty and concern. Politicians and former diplomats have strongly condemned the controversial remarks made by the ex-Pakistan envoy, calling them irresponsible and dangerous in an already sensitive geopolitical climate. Several voices from across the political spectrum said such statements, even when made in a hypothetical context, risk escalating tensions and sending the wrong message at a time when regional stability is crucial.
That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow.